trying to align this so we get everything.
So, for example, if array contains 10, 4, 5, 2, 4, the output should be 4. There is more than one mode, return the one that appeared in the array first. And if there's no mode, return 1. This is almost the exact same thing as the last challenge. So look for patterns, guys. Look for patterns in the problems and in code. So if he were to back out and copy the code from the last solution and paste it in here, it would we could remove some stuff that we don't need that was letter specific and literally do the same thing, which is we can sort these and then we can compare each one against each other, create a group.
Yeah. This is actually going to be a lot simpler because instead of having a nested loop, we're just going to have one simple loop after we sort them.
Yeah, so we're going to need two variables. We're going to need count and then a variable that actually signifies the number. So like, you know, mode num would be a decent variable name.
Mode. Would we want the index? Because we can just return it from the array.
I don't even think you need to at that point. I mean, you can just actually put the number in there.
And actually, before we even get down here,
Yep. Okay, so real quick, you can keep typing, but so a real quick explanation about this return a minus b. If you read the documentation on the sort function, if you do not provide it a callback function, it will sort them according to their Unicode value. So for numbers, we have to provide a callback function. And if the number is negative, it means a was smaller than b. If the number is positive, it means a was bigger than b. And if the number is 0, it means a equaled b, and no position change will occur between those two elements. We can shorthand that instead of doing an if, an else if, and then finally an else statement by just returning a minus b. If a is smaller than b, it will return negative. If if a is larger than b, it's going to be positive. If they're the same, it'll return 0.
actually, we're going to need another.
What?
I was thinking we're going to need another highest variable here, because how do we know whether this count is greater than the count that we got for the last mode?
True, true.
So in that case, count greater than highest count. Highest count. Count mode num equals ri.
Well, yep. Okay, so it's important here because we're using a counting variable here. Like I knew when I was new to programming, I would constantly forget to reset some kind of state variable to 0. If you forget to reset that, you'll get the wrong answer all the time. I wouldn't even yeah, you can do that. Yeah, that's all right. I was just gonna say, rather than have all that, you could actually do num equals whatever. But yeah, that's right. And we should now remember we need to account for -1. So if there's no mode.
Well, okay, we need a different value to initialize this with.
Why?
Because what if the mode is 0?
Okay. What if the mode is 0? Then that means it's false in a true false scenario, right? In a conditional check, 0 is false and any other number is true. So you can return mode num. So if mode num was 0, then we would return -1, right? Otherwise, just return mode num. Oh, it's because it's being sorted. We're sorting that? Array equals array sort, yeah.
But even if it was sorting it, I would expect 2, not -1.
Yeah. So actually, we shouldn't even, well, they've got to be sorted. They've got to be grouped together.
Does sort modify the original array?
Yeah, I think it, yeah, it sorts it in place.
Yep.
Yep.
So yeah. Let's see, length -1, I++. If the element is equal to the element next to it, increment the count.
Yep.
So we keep doing that until we hit a different number. If the count is greater than the highest count.
Oh, because it's returning, yeah, it's, so it was array I, so array I in that particular case should be 5. So monum, if return monum, oh, so monum is actually true at that point. So we should return monum, otherwise -1. So, but now we need to not sort it. And then keep track of, but that's
going to break this down here.
Yep. So what I would do, right, is something like this. Alright, so let's go ahead and just do so var num count, and we'll call it an empty array, right?
Yep.
Okay. And then in that you can push the well, we might need an object for this.
So okay, so the key being the number itself, and then the value for that property would be the count for that number.
Yeah.
And then we just pull the one with the highest.
Right, and we need to keep track of where it appeared.
Yeah, because like in this example in the description, the 5 should be returned because it appeared first.
Exactly. So we can do that. It's very easy.
Where is my mouse? Okay. Okay. So instead of an array, have an object.
Oh, you know what? Actually, we don't need to keep track of where it was in the array, because if you push them in order, right, and you sort them based off their frequency, by pushing them in order, if two were the same, the first one is still going to be at a lower index. So you can just return the lowest index out of that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. We need to get rid of this sorting here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and then we can just get rid of that logic, because, well, keep it on the clipboard. We might want it for later. Yeah. Okay. So, I don't think we need array length -1 anymore.
Nope.
So, yeah, numCount.push.
.push.
Yeah,
Can we
because,
do with objects?
well, it's an array. We want an array of objects, right?
Oh, okay. I thought you wanted one. Okay, that makes sense. So but we need to check if it already exists.
Right. Well, you can do it. You can do it with an array, or you can do it with one overall object, whichever method you want to do.
I think doing an overall object is going to be easier.
Okay. So then you can just do numCount. Yep.
Equals
Test is test if it exists.
yeah. Count I.
Well, I wouldn't do that because we can just assign it right there, right? So instead of using the or, which is essentially it's making numCount I a conditional if it exists, then if it does exist, then add on the new.
Because this is going to return undefined.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. 0.
Well, okay. Yep. And then let's return that and just make sure we're getting what we expect. So we should see 522211 or so you have 0010203040.
Yep, I know what I did wrong. I didn't ARRI.
Yep.
So that's still wrong.
Right, because they're otherwise
If it exists. Oh. +1.
so what
I shouldn't have to do this, but I just want to see if that makes a difference. Yep. Oh, yeah, I get it now, because we're storing 0 in there, and this is evaluating to false.
yes, exactly. We ran into that the last time we did this on the other challenge we did, remember?
Mm-hmm.
So we had to set this to 1.
We set it to 1, and then we subtracted 1 from all of them.
Yep.
At the end.
Yep.
Do you want to do that again, or do you want to just leave undefined in there?
Let's leave undefined because it might be a little more clear to the viewers. So, okay. So, what happened here is what this is saying is this equals, and we're actually doing a conditional check. If this exists, then we are just incrementing its value by 1, otherwise setting it to 0. Without that does not equal undefined. What that is an implicit check. That value is always going to return to 0 because it was assigned 0 if it didn't exist. If it's 0, 0 is also false in programming, so it was defaulting back and giving itself a value of 0. So we could have added 1 and then plus 1 and it would have worked, and we would have subtracted 1 later from all of the values, or we can just do it does not equal undefined, because then it's actually explicitly checking. 0 is type of number. It is not type of undefined.
Not to mention that by having an explicit check for undefined in here, the overall algorithm is going to be less computationally expensive because we don't have to have a loop at the bottom to subtract 1 from each of these that we've initialized.
Alright, so keep hammering down. We can see what we have now.
Okay, now we just have to sort these by the frequency.
Right, so we can do a for obj in, right?
Yep, for prop and obj. Okay. Well, how is this going to help us?
Okay, so do me a favor. Well, you'll see how it'll help us, or how it'll. Okay, let me type something here. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, prop.
Oh, num count.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Okay. Now, so how do you think that can help us?
Well, prop gives us the index and num count prop gives us the value.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
we
if
can.
we wanted to hand roll our own sorting algorithm, then this would help us.
Well, we don't even need to sort, because they're now in there in the order in which they appeared. So let's get rid of that one and take some fresh data and look at it. Okay.
Okay.
So if we put this in here, right, run the code. Well, okay, let's get rid of the return statement and just let it loop for fun. Why did that sort? You might need to add an index on there too. Instead of doing this, right? I'll let you finish the rest.
Okay. So okay, what you're doing is with this, you want to append it to the object using this function then?
Well, okay. So what I'm saying is, no, leave that there, because that's what number index is going to be pushed into. Okay, so you can actually just do no, don't return anything out of number index. No, okay. So now, and this, I would put it as an array. Because now we have named properties we can access. Are you tracking? Okay.
Yeah.
So, essentially, we can check to see if some object exists that we can get, right? And if the object doesn't exist, create it. Otherwise, just increase its frequency by 1.
But with an array, we need to know where this is at. We need to know where that number is that we're going to be updating. Should this still be an object? Because if we do that,
you can do an object of object. Sure, it can be an object. Go ahead.
Okay. I guess I wasn't following where you were going with the array.
Well, because I was just thinking you can put it in based on the value of the array.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to change this. Frequency. Shouldn't have to change anything else here.
Yeah, and you might want to put its index. Well, actually, you don't need to put it there. It's all going to go there in the new one. You're right. It's good. And you can just create a new... No. You're going to create a new one. Create a new object.
That's what I was going to do.
Okay, so why don't you just use the... Oh, okay, alright, good.
So what you call the number index? So it's value, frequency, index.
And set the frequency to, well, you can leave it at 0, sure. Alright, so let's return that and see if we're pushing it in correctly.
2 is value 2, frequency 0, index 3. Well, that should be 1. Right?
Why?
No, because it only occurred once, so we don't care if it's 0. 4 occurs twice, so we have frequency of 1. Frequency of 0, index 2.
So 4 isn't displaying correctly. Or no, frequency 1, yep.
Okay.
And the output, yep.
Okay, we're still getting 2. frequency of 1. Okay, so yeah, this looping structure that we had that I wrote down here isn't going to work because it's always going to, since we're always comparing it with the highest frequency, it's going to stop at the first one. It's going to stop at the first value in the object that meets that criteria.
So what could you do? So if the frequency is greater than the highest frequency and index is less than some kind of index we're tracking?
Yep. That's what I forgot to do. Actually,
well, we probably want that lowest index, right?
yeah. Well, okay. Can't have this at 0.
I would just put it at the maximum.
Positive infinity.
Buzz Lightyear would be so proud.
To infinity and beyond. Oh. Wait, that's the return statement we want. This is the one we don't want. 2.
Still gets 2.
So what is our index for 2? So index is 4 for 1. Index is 2 for 2. Oh, we're not actually updating index.
Right.
Okay.
And I'm sure there's some built-in library function that would simplify all this, but
Is there?
oh, I'm sure there is. There probably is. So num prop. Okay, so why don't we just return that num count prop in dot index and see. Okay, so index 2. So index should be set to.
I'd be interested in seeing what the lowest index is. Of course, when it hits 2, it should still be infinity.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
I wonder if this infinity is screwing it up. What if I just did something arbitrary like this? Nope.
Well, we still have this return here.
Yeah.
I think it's say to make the highest index the length of the array.
Oh, yeah. Oh, but we're not using an array here.
We're getting past an array. Whatever array is a length.
Oh, yeah.
Or array is an array. Sorry. So for verb prop and num count, if the frequency is greater than the highest frequency. Oh, you know why? If frequency, okay. So that's true, and then. Oh, wait. There we go. Let's try that. And it's going to return that because nothing was assigned. So return the, yeah, so probably the same thing here. Let's see. There's no. Oh, okay. It's going to constantly go up. So which one aren't we writing? Or are we writing all of them?
Highest num, highest frequency, and lowest index. I don't think frequency would be throwing it off because I mean you're using greater than or equals
No,
to.
so the reason why it's not is because this greater than or equal to highest frequency, right? So if all the numbers have 0 as the highest frequency, which means they didn't repeat, then this is going to satisfy as true, and then any number that comes later is also going to be evaluated true because its index is going to be higher than the next number's index. So every time this iterates, it's passing in a new number if there's no repeats. So for the two viewers that I have, which one of them I think is myself, um, so adding that in basically ignores anything with a frequency of 0. And then allows us to still compare frequencies and the index.
Couldn't we have accomplished the same thing just by having num count prop frequency greater than highest frequency rather than explicitly ignoring zeros? Because the
Because
highest
we,
frequency is already initialized to 0.
yeah, we could probably rewrite it and do this, and I just
Because I thought we were doing this before.
no. So okay, this has to be greater than or equal to. All right, the reason why. Let's take a look at this. Okay, so we pushed 5 in, we pushed 2 in, and 1, and we get all our stuff, right? Um, so now if we run the code, we get 5 as expected. All right. So what this does first is it checks and it says, okay, the frequency isn't 0. Now I'm moving on to my next statement in the conditional. Okay.
Oh, yep, I get it now. Because if we have two numbers that repeat the same number of times, we still need to select it only if the index is smaller.
Right. So
That's why
because
it's breaking.
yeah, so we have to add this greater than or equal to satisfy this is true in order to start evaluating over into our third conditional, which is the index lower than the lowest index, and then go ahead and write it. So we have to, and it's this last one that we have to reach in order for it to go. Well, they all have to be true for it to write.
Okay. All right. Do you want me to leave this up in case anybody has questions, or?
Uh, I'm not sure who's watching. It doesn't say. It doesn't give me. It just gives me a number for who's watching. Oh, I can see viewer list. Okay, so I have NetGen CEO and Alex Dixon. Any questions? I don't think they do.
Okay.
So that's it. So there's a. I mean, it's an answer. It's a very clean answer, really. I mean, even if it does make something, I don't know if it makes it complex, but I mean, it was kind of nice to show people how we use an object, or how we make an object in JavaScript, how we would use an object to simplify. So an object is great if you need to track a lot of different things about something. Don't be afraid to put it in an object. And you know, we could have actually, considering numbers are objects, I'm wondering if we could do something like this. So let's say array 0 dot frequency, and it's probably going to complain because there's no dot frequency on that, equals 1.
Well, if it doesn't exist, I mean, it should just create it, right?
That's what I would think. Array.0 dot frequency. So with any luck, this will return 1. No, it returns nothing because yeah, there is no frequency on array.
Okay.
So okay, we can get rid of these.
So maybe it's just the built-in objects are read-only.
Well, we could add a prototype. But yeah, I think the built-in objects are read-only, except for you can prototype them and add whatever you want. I wouldn't do that though, because then we're adding a prototype to like number itself. I'll be right back. I'm letting my dogs out.
Okay.
Alright, I'm back. What was the incorrect case? 0, 0, 0, 1, and 2, your output was incorrect? So run it on...
0 is the mode, and at the bottom here, this is what I was alluding to in the beginning.
Oh yeah.
We need to actually account for when the mode is 0. We can't just rely on its falsy value.
Well, then we could do something like this, right? So the frequency wouldn't equal 0 because that would be 3 zeros, and then it would be higher and the index would still be the same. So
you just check to see if this was updated.
yeah, that's what I was going to say, is just add a no, just add a you could add a Boolean flag, because if it reaches here, then there's some kind of mode, right? So, yeah, var mode found equals false.
Actually, yeah, this is a duplicate value, but
yeah.
Okay.
So if mode found, then return highest num. I mean, we can get rid of mode num. Oh, there you go. So copy that and then hit redo.
So I don't lose it again.
Yeah. And then we'll push it in, and that should probably do it. Now I'm interested why 445678888 they say doesn't work. Alright, and then let's put in 000123. Okay, and then put in 445678888.
Like that?
Yeah. So why is it returning 4? So that frequency should be, yeah, it should be 2, right?
Yeah.
So it was frequency on 4, 1. So why is that not reaching it? Let's take a look. So let's take a look at 8. Whatever. Alright, so frequency is because the hold on, let me scroll over and see something here. So if it's greater than the highest streak. Okay, and then num count prop index lower than the lowest index. Well, I think that's it right there. Well, no, that shouldn't. Oh, yeah, it does. Okay, so what's happening is these are coming true, but the lowest index of 8 is 5, and that is not less than 0. So, maybe if we, rather than make this really, really long, we could do 2 ifs. Because then, if it's greater than or equal to, if it is straight greater than it, and less than num count, and less than the index, does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So we need to copy that, okay, and then come to the end of it, if, and then let me finish closing that up. I miss my Mac. I really hate Windows shortcuts, or my lack of knowledge thereof. Okay, and we can come here and we can just put this in. Did I not close something? Oh no, it's lining up. It's just saying all of these should be tabbed over.